What really happened on Wild Wonder, August 28th, 1999? From tales of ghost haunting to suspicions about company negligence, the Zamperla zigzag roller coaster might just be the goldmine of creepy superstition. However, behind the tales and the lore is a truly unsettling and heartbreaking story, as the coaster has led to the deaths of 2 passengers and the injuries of many others. But what exactly caused this ride to earn the nickname Haunted? And scarily enough, how is it still in service? Find out as we dive into the details of what really happened on the Wild Wonder roller coaster on August 28, 1999. The Zamperla Zigzag roller coaster was once a ride that brought joy and wonder to wherever it was installed. However, the wonderful ride quickly began to turn its host parks into places where excitement turned to fear and legends were born. This is because stories of ghostly hauntings and accusations of corporate negligence have made this ride the stuff of nightmares. But how exactly did it happen? It all started when the roller coaster was still at Ocean City, New Jersey's Killian Wonder Pier. At first, the day seemed like every other day that had come before it. The park was packed with sounds of enthusiasm, including children laughing and screaming at the numerous attractions, the aroma of cotton candy and popcorn filling the air, and the presence of the usual overwhelming joy. That was before the calamity that befell the ride on the evening of August 28, 1999. After that, everything changed. The Zamperla Zigzag roller coaster, sometimes referred to as the Wild Wonder, served as the centerpiece of the amusement park and was the ride that the majority of guests enjoyed the most. On this particular day, the roller coaster was packed to capacity with riders who were eager to get on board and experience the attraction's exhilarating journey. However, the excitement would quickly turn to cries and panic, and the cause of this was a choice that the ride's maintenance team made only a week before the catastrophe occurred. See, the maintenance personnel for the ride had just finished switching out the chain dog and the safety dog for the ride, but they did it in a very sloppy manner. This is important because the ride has a chain dog, which is a metal item with a triangle shape that is utilized in the chain lift mechanism of a roller coaster. Its purpose is to hold the chain and stop it from sliding backward. The safety dog, which is also known as a locking dog, is a component that is similar to the chain dog. It locks into place when the train is at the top of the lift hill, which prevents the train from rolling back down. See, the safety dog offers an additional level of protection for the passengers by stopping the train from moving in the opposite direction in the event that the chain lift system has any kind of technical failure. Sadly, the maintenance crew for the ride made a significant error, which resulted in these 2 dogs not being installed correctly. The maintenance crew had swapped out the high-quality dogs that were made by Zamperla for some inferior ones that were produced locally. This, however, was not only improperly placed, which caused the dogs to be out of sync with their respective throughs and chains, but it was also prohibited because they utilized dogs that were not of a high quality and had not been hardened enough to replace the originals, which, by the way, was against the law in New Jersey. And so, as the coaster reached the top of its first hill, which was about 35 feet from the initial 90-degree starting turn, something went horribly wrong. Suddenly, there was a loud metallic snap, and the coaster derailed, sending the first car of 4 that had begun its ascent flying off the tracks. The car fell backwards as the 2 dogs failed to engage, and soon was facing extremely high lateral forces, which combined with the lack of restraints caused 2 passengers to fly out of the car, and sadly, to their death. Seeing as the car was not designed to hold riders when they experienced lateral force, the ride ejected the unlucky passengers and continued to barrel down towards the 90-degree initial turn, where the ride's impact injured many others at the loading dock as it collided with another car. Chaos erupted as parkgoers and employees rushed to help the injured passengers. Emergency crews arrived quickly, but the scene was one of devastation and horror. As the injured were taken away for medical treatment, investigators were called to the scene to determine the cause of the accident. It was soon discovered that a broken axle was to blame for the derailment, and the park was closed for several days as the investigation continued. However, this wasn't the only time the ride caused problems, as soon after the accident, the ride seemed to have gotten a reputation for bringing misfortune wherever it went. This was because after causing trouble at its original location, the ride was relocated to Arkansas, where it tragically struck again. This time, a larger woman was granted the ill-fated privilege of taking up 2 seats on one of the coaster's cars. But as the ride reached its apex, disaster struck. The woman was hurled from the car, tumbling to the ground below. Miraculously, however, she survived the fall. But the curse of the Zamperla zigzag was not easily shaken, as the ride was forced to move once again, this time to the Family Kingdom Amusement Park in Myrtle Beach, North Carolina. It has remained there to this day, as a constant reminder of the danger that seems to follow it wherever it goes, with everyone who knows its history fearing what horrors may await those brave enough to climb aboard the Zamperla zigzag roller coaster. The effects of the disaster were felt across the entirety of the town after it occurred. The park was left with an air of panic, and the families of those who were injured were left in a state of utter devastation. But that wasn't all. Because the ride owners in Zamperla were also held responsible for the state of New Jersey reviewing its regulations regarding roller coasters and even increasing the penalties for violating those laws from the previous amount of $500 to an astounding $5,000. The proprietors of Wonderland Pier and Zamperla were put on trial shortly after the conclusion of the investigation because it was determined that they were accountable for the accident that occurred on their properties. Even after the Wild Wonder coaster was fixed and placed back into operation after a period of downtime due to repairs, many guests were reluctant to ride it again. Even though it has been several years since the tragic day of the accident, the recollections of that terrible event are still fresh. Those people who were present will never forget the sight of the derailed cars, and the sound of a roller coaster climbing the first hill is enough to send shivers down their spines. In addition, the sound of the roller coaster climbing the hill will always be fresh in their thoughts. Although Killian's Wonder Pier was able to recover from the disaster that occurred on the Wild Wonder and carry on with its business, the accident will always serve as a disturbing reminder of the dangers that exist in the amusement park industry. The Zamperla Zigzag roller coaster, which was once considered a thrill-seeker's paradise, was now shrouded in mystery and fear. People now whisper about the ride's dark past, as tales of its accidents and mishaps spread like wildfire. People have even come to refer to it as the Cursed Coaster or the Devil's Ride, and many dare not set foot near it. However, despite the rumors, there are always those brave enough to climb aboard, seeking the thrill of danger. But each time the coaster reached its highest peak, those thrill-seekers could not help but wonder if they would be the next to fall victim to its curse. As the ride continues to operate today, many question its safety and whether it was right to allow people to put their lives in peril. The Zamperla Zigzag remains a subject of controversy and fascination, as its legacy lives on, intertwined with the history of the amusement parks it visited. But what do you think? Is the ride really cursed? Should it be closed? And now that it's open, would you dare to ride on it?